Hello and welcome to the Motorway Man, and welcome back to my series where we'll be looking at the service station history of Britain's motorways, looking at some new, some old and some undeveloped service stations across the UK, and in today's show we'll be looking at the M6. And as always, before we get into things, please subscribe to the channel because I'd really appreciate it, and it would make me happy, of course. Support me on Patreon as well, but yeah, I'd really appreciate it if you give the video a thumbs up and subscribed. So, some basic information to get us going. The M6 is 232 miles long, making it the UK's longest motorway. It opened in 1958, making it the UK's oldest motorway. It runs from Coventry and Birmingham all the way to Scotland via Stafford and Stoke-on-Trent, and today has 18 service stations. But at one point, if all plans came to fruition, it could have had up to 29 potential service stations. And yes, as you probably expected, as the M6 is the longest motorway in the UK, I'll be splitting it into 2 episodes, just so you know. Right, so let's get going then, and as always we'll be starting at the M6's official start point in Catthorpe near Coventry at the Catthorpe interchange with the M1. And we don't have to travel far to find our first failed service station attempt, because at our very starting location was the proposed Catthorpe services. Catthorpe was a site proposed by Extra in 2000 and was considered until being withdrawn in 2006 due to building a service station in this location being very difficult to pull off. But great news next though, as next up is my favourite service station, well one of them at least, Rugby at Junction 1 of the M6. Rugby is the motorway's newest service station, opening in 2021, and it is operated by Motor. I would 100% definitely highly recommend a visit to Rugby services. As you can tell from the pictures, you can just see how great it is. But unfortunately, we do have to move on to Harbour Magna Services. Strange name, I know. Harbour Magna Services was proposed between Junction 1 and 2 of the M6. The site was part of the original plan by the government, and the government was so certain they were going to build the site there, they purchased a generous 16 acres of land and installed slip roads, as we can see on the image. But unfortunately, Harbour Magna Services never developed any more than that. And although one original plan didn't open, the next services along, which is Crawley Services, did open. Crawley Services sits between Junction 3 and 4 of the M6 and is operated by Welcome Break. Crawley was part of the government's original plan, so it's nice to see one of them did come to fruition. So next up would have been Essington Services. Essington Services was again heavily considered by the government back in the 1960s, but in the end was never built due to the site being too small for a service station. Never fear, however, as just a mile down the road between Junction 10A and 11, we would find the present-day Hilton Park Services. Hilton Park is a very cool building design, featuring a tower similar to the likes of Lancaster Services and a bridge over the motorway, and a general nice feel which is quite good for a service station. I have done a service station tour of the site on my channel if you wish to check it out. Right, so next up is Dokesey Services. Dokesey was proposed in the 1990s but quickly ruled out as the location was unsafe for heavy road traffic, so we best move on to Creswell Services. Creswell was proposed in 1993 to be at Junction 14A of the M6 by Extra. Hooray! Creswell Services unfortunately was refused, however, planning permission in 1994 due to the planned site's construction angering local residents. How sad. Right, so next up we would arrive at another interesting arrangement where both the north and south sides of the service stations are run by different operators. This can be found at Stafford Services, similar to Sedgemoor on the M5, which you can learn about in my M5 video. The north and the southbound sides are operated by different operators. The northbound is operated by Motor and is the bigger of the two, and the southbound is operated by Roadchef and is equally as nice. In my opinion, I like the southbound side the best due to it having a nice nature trail located to the rear of the service station. But don't be deterred, as the northbound operated by Motor is home to many nice features as well, like having the largest lake on site at a service station. But yeah, anyway, both sides of Stafford Services are very nice, and you'd have a great experience to the either of them. So next up is Keele Services. Keele is also very nice. It is operated by Welcome Break and opened in 1963. It has loads of great facilities and a swell bridge, so I would recommend it. If you want to see what it's like, make sure you check out my service station tour. Next up, at Junction 16, we would find Crew services. Crew is very small, and again, if you do want to see it, there's a service station tour on the channel, and it's probably most famous for its previous occupation as a Little Chef restaurant. But as I say, it's quite small, and not much to see here, so we best move on to Sam Batch services. Sam Batch is operated by Road Chef and opened in 1975, and normally I would recommend the Road Chef services, but sadly, I'm not quite sure as this is one I would recommend. The thing that lets this place down is the bridge. Now, although it may look okay from the outside, the inside of Sam Batch Services bridge is, well, awful to be honest. I mean, paint peeling, there's a dodgy smell in there. Oh man, I just wouldn't recommend it, so yeah. I mean, again, I did do a service station tour of Sam Batch, which you can see on my YouTube channel, but, just look at the pictures right there. It's just not a nice bridge, so I probably wouldn't recommend this one, unfortunately. So we best move on to Knutsford Services. Knutsford is a very nice service station. It opened in 1963 and is operated by Motor. It again features a nice bridge and it's a good service station. So if you are in this area, I would recommend this place. So next up would have been Can Lane Services. Can Lane was a backup plan on the off chance anything bad happened to Knutsford Services, but as we know, Knutsford Services exists today, so there was no need to develop Can Lane Services any further. So, next up is Lim Services / Lim Truck Stop. Now, Lim, as well as being a service station, is also partially a truck stop. And another fun fact about Lim Services is that I had the pleasure of featuring in this week's game of Service Station Guess. And if you're one of the 4 people that got it right, then congratulations to you 4 people, as I say, for guessing it right this week. If you want to partake in next week's game of Service Station Guess, tune in on Wednesday, watch my YouTube shorts, and have a guess to see if you're correct. But anyway, Lim Services / Lim Truck Stop, a pretty nice one. So anyway, I think we best call it there, because as I say, the M6 is a long motorway. Don't want the episode to get too long. So yeah, I'll get working on part 2. Join that next week and the week after. There we go, guys. We're going to go to Scotland to visit a Scottish service station. So yeah, M6 part 2 coming next week. And then, of course, we've got the Scottish service station. And don't forget on Wednesday, service station Guess. It's a great one. So anyway, I shall catch you then. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Support me on Patreon for all the good benefits and that kind of stuff. And I shall catch you in the next one. And a bit of a side note, make sure you've watched my Killington Lake service station tour, because it's, some of the best views you can find at the service station. So make sure you watch that video next. And until then, have a great day. I'll catch you in the next one. Hope you have a nice day. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and goodbye.